I said I'm not afraid anymore! Do you hear me? I'm not afraid anymore!
Hey guys, welcome back. It's 2FAST2MOVIE. I'm your host for the day, Abraham. With me once again, we got Ben Collins here to talk about another episode of Attack on Titan. And my God, what an episode to talk about. And coming as a manga reader, I'm at the point now where I don't really remember half of this stuff happening. So it's good that I'm getting fresh eyes. Ben, as an anime only, what'd you think of this episode?
Once again, I'm excited, but also, I had to rewatch a couple moments to make sure that I understood exactly what was happening. The show has a habit of really front-loading a lot of information, which can make it a little difficult to follow at some points.
Yeah.
But it also has a habit of explaining everything that was hard to follow in the next episode. So I'm sure things are going to be cleared up as far as the Tyburs and their relationship to the Marleyan government and the entire history of the world. Perhaps maybe in a wonderful local theater production.
They're doing a performance of Rent, actually, here in the
That's
Liberia
the actual
Internment
history
Zone.
of the Marleyans.
Yep.
And Eldians.
It's a great episode. We're going to talk about it here on the show, so be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. We post videos every week here on the channel, and you'll always have a reason to come back and watch something new. And spoilers ahead for this episode of Attack on Titan, titled From One Hand to Another. So, before we get into the scenes with Falco at the hospital, which is probably what everybody wants to talk about, we need to first go over all of the very heartwarming scenes between the warrior candidates, Gabby, Falco, Udo, and Zofia. So, after winning a race against Gabby, a flustered Falco lets slip his true intentions of saving Gabby, though she is too dense to really understand. We get to see Zofia have a few comedic beats, actually, and we learn that Udo comes from a foreign nation where the treatment of Eldians is so bad it makes the Internment Zone in Liberia look like paradise, really. Finally, Udo is saved from a potential and likely punishment after a woman from the, quote, Mizuri clan takes the blame for spilling wine on their kimono. All the while, they wonder if the upcoming festival will truly change things for Eldians.
All right, real quick. I know that it's pronounced Missouri, but the spelling is not what it sounds like. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, because I think even while reading that, I was like, that's a state. That's where.
That's not that.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I really like the cute scenes, and I mean, it's a shame because there's so much foreboding energy just in the show overall that
I think that the rule with Attack on Titan is if we start getting cute scenes with our protagonists, that's it. Peacetime is over.
If the episode ends with everybody going, "Hey, today was pretty good. I had fun." It's gonna go real bad.
It's gonna go real bad.
But there's a lot of things we could talk. I mean, for one, Udo and Zofia haven't had a lot of moments, and I think it was really nice to see just them be people. I mean, Zofia kind of has like an Annie type of personality. Has like a really dry sense of humor, which I kind of laughed out loud at.
I love.
And then Udo kind of like, when Udo and Gabby are talking, Udo makes a comment saying something like, yeah, and then everybody's going to come to the Internment Zone and pop, everything's going to be A-okay. Gabby saying, yeah, that's how it's going to work. And Udo's like, are you serious? Like, we just, destroyed this other army. Like, it's not going to go well. So,
yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. I feel like we see that Udo is a lot more of a realist. Honestly, he kind of reminds me almost, not really another character that we've had. Maybe Armin. But still actually a decent warrior candidate.
It's kind of like Connie mixed with Armin a little bit.
I would say
the energy that Connie has, where he was like stomping on the ground. I think
Yeah, yeah. I would say almost like a I want to say almost like an Ishida from My Hero Academia at some points.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, he has that very learned personality. He's constantly the mature one in the room, and I will say, My Hero, comparing those two shows, I think that Udo might just be a better character, just because Ishida just becomes kind of silly off the roof and cartoonishly a teacher's pet, where this character actually has some depth to him.
Right.
It was very interesting and also extremely disconcerting learning about his family from abroad and realizing exactly how worse off things are elsewhere, because the entire time we're looking at the Marleyan government and their treatment of Eldians, and we're like, hey, this is like the precursor to genocide.
Yeah,
what's happening?
And then Udo's like, oh, you think this is bad? And that's a very disconcerting thing. I mean, it's also great because we also see, like we were just talking about the Mizuri clan, we see a bunch of different VIPs later on the episode during Willy Tybur's like speech. We see people from Africa, or like a, you know, in Africa quote, because it's like a fictional world, Africa. We see Asian descendants. We see like they're opening up the world a lot more, and the fact that we're now getting the full scope, that it's not just Marley and Eldia that are having this internal conflict. Eldia as an empire did commit genocide and eugenics in the distant past, which led to the spread of their empire across different country lines. So,
did they commit?
Yeah, I mean, that's what they said.
That's
what they said in the season 3. Whether or not that's true, not sure. But regardless, Eldians exist outside of Marley.
Yeah,
and their treatment is worse than in Marley. So
interesting.
Regardless,
I will say it was interesting to see that not all people, especially in these higher up brass, the woman from the Mizuri clan treating.
Oh my god, yeah, that
treating Udo. Excuse me, he's not udon. He's not a noodle. Treating Udo with human decency and saving his life practically for spilling wine on her was actually a big moment.
Yeah, yeah, it was so small, and she just left right after, and that big. I mean, hopefully we see more of that character later.
If not her character, at least her people.
Yeah.
At least who she represents. I'm super curious about the world building. I am kind of sad that this is the last season, because there's so much more interesting stuff happening in this world.
Yeah, it really is. One more thing before we go on to the next part. When we talked about this earlier before we started taping, the festival taking place in the Internment Zone. One, it's very nice that the children finally have an opportunity to be kids, as they've grown up in an internment zone and finally now just are like eating ice cream, eating pizza, not having to worry about the upcoming war, as Reiner like bends over backwards to like please them. It's a cute moment. But we were also talking, why is it taking place in the internment zone specifically? What are your thoughts on that, if anything?
Again, it's really difficult to tell what Tybur's motive here is. From first glance, it seems to be to humanize the Eldians, and we know he has Eldian blood. There is precedent for him to do this, especially with his conversation with the I'm forgetting the general's name, Magath.
Commander Magath.
Commander Magath, which we're going to talk about in just a couple seconds, but I could see it as an effort to humanize Eldians right before he does whatever truth he's about to reveal. He clearly knows a lot more about this world's history than some other people. He knows about the true history of Marley.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even kind of some implications that he's the one that's been pulling the strings the entire time. Yeah. So we'll see. There's also a chance that it's for something significantly more horrific. But again, I'm just not sure.
Time will tell. I mean, that's a great segue, because now we can talk about the introduction of the Tybur family. So we're introduced to Willy Tybur and his entire family as Commander Magath comes to speak with him. Though no one knows who it is, Willy confirms that the Warhammer is one of the members of the Tybur family. From this conversation, we learn that the Tyburs are likely related to or in some way correlated with the hero Helos, the man who defeated the Devil of all Earths. And because of this connection, they've received special privileges from the Marleyan government. Later, we see Magath and Willy meeting in the stands of the upcoming festival stage. Here, Willy feels uneasy about the enormous pressure that falls upon him, claiming that there's a reason why no one before him has held the wheel. It's very heavy. Strangely, they also talk about an upcoming Demolition Project, and finally, at a dinner party with the VIPs of other nations, which we talked about previously, Tybur announces his upcoming plan to solve the Marleyan and Eldian conflict. We actually learn a little bit about Helos, and in Season 3, Grisha's father told the story of how Eldia was defeated from the inside. Those were his words. So is it possible that the Tyburs were responsible for Marley coming to power and defeating Eldia? And is that the reason why they are now held in such high regards? Are they direct descendants of Helos? It's unclear right now, but regardless, it's crazy to see Eldians. I mean, we thought like the one of the 9, like Zeke, Reiner, talking to Magath in such a common way was strange. This is on another level. These people they have armed guards on the outside. They are dressed in the finest clothing and sitting in luxurious apartments. They have a maid. The living conditions are like night and day. And
yeah,
it's just interesting to see that this power dynamic has come forth after Marley has come to power.
I will say it is also worth noting that they are being represented as a completely different entity that is separate and independent of the Marleyan government as well. It seems that this family kind of gets to be their own power within the world, which is interesting because they don't exactly control a kingdom. The only thing that they really have under their belt is the Warhammer Titan. And
right.
That's pretty much it as far as we know. We know that they have their own guards, their own army. I'd imagine they might rule some small amounts of land.
Likely.
But
it's probably, they seem like they come from wealth. So
yeah,
they probably have their own land outside of the Internment Zone. Definitely plausible.
And the implications that they should be treated as their own kind of sovereign nation is also very interesting, and is what spells out a lot of the power dynamic in this episode, and also a lot of the weirdness between Magath and Willy in the first place. The fact we start out with this conversation about the true history of Eldians, coming to see the statue, and this regard that both of them seem to have, that the way that Eldians are treated in this country is wrong, and that there needs to be some serious fixing that has to happen in the near future.
Well, it's not that Tybur believes it's wrong, because in the dinner conversation at the end of the episode where he's talking to the VIPs, he acknowledges that the hatred towards Eldians is at the least understandable. Meaning that he at least is sympathetic towards the people who are treating these Eldians horribly, at least to some degree. But again, I don't know what his true motives are right now. One thing we should talk about is the conversation about the rats and the demolition, because it was really confusing on a first watch, and I don't remember what that meant, so I had to rewatch it like 4 times to get it. It's a blink and you miss it moment, because in the beginning of the episode, he's called Commander Magath, the leader of the warrior unit. And then later in the episode, when they're having this conversation, he's called General. And Tybur gives him a book and says that he now has control of the army. It seems like rats and demolition are code words, but what exactly they mean is kind of unclear, because it definitely means that they are trying to instill or trying to make Magath a leader in some regard for whatever Tybur is planning. But exactly what rats mean, it could mean the top brass itself. I don't...
It could mean the Eldians.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's 100 ways that this could go. This is speculation based off a trailer and everything, but we do know at some point that at least Eren is going to come to understand someone and acknowledge that what they are trying to do is save the world. We don't know if that's going to be Reiner. We don't know if that's going to be Willy or Willy Tybur or Magath.
Or Gabby or Falco. It could be anybody, really, at this point.
But we do know at this point that a lot of people's intentions actually seem to be for what they would consider to be the greater good. And currently, I'm not getting bad vibes off of Tybur.
I'm not either. He seems to have the best intentions, and obviously him being this like popular figure who's like schmoozing with like the upper class while he's an Eldian, kind of like at first signifies that he's like nefarious and like kind of like a backstabbing kind of person who hates his own people. But there seems to be a lot more layers under the surface, especially when you look at the preview for the next episode. It's not necessarily a spoiler. He has like tears in his eyes when he's like speaking on stage. So he's speaking about something. I don't know. It's probably the truth, but
that, my friend, is just good acting.
Man, yeah, seriously, local theater productions get better and better with time. It's amazing. I think that's kind of all we got to talk about Willy Tybur, just because we don't know enough. I think we'll know more during the performance and in the next episode, really. But now we got to move on to the final thing. The thing that everybody really wants to talk about, and Ben, I see your happy dance. We got to talk about.
So excited.
Because it's confirmed now. This is Eren. It was implied in the last episode with that dramatic beat after they showed his face, but it's confirmed now he is named as Eren. So we need to go back to all of his interactions and really examine them with a closer look. So in his first appearance, he tells Falco that he doesn't want to return home because it would be too difficult to face his family. In the beginning of this episode, Eren asks Falco to deliver a letter to them, and he's sure to specify that he mail it outside the Internment Zone so as not to rouse suspicion. He claims that after the festival, he's going to return home with his family. He has a conversation with his unsuspecting grandfather, Grish's dad, who not only warns him to leave Falco alone, but also suffers a fit of screaming and hysteria after he reminisces the abysmal murder of Grish's sister. And finally, as the festival's winding down and Willy Tybur's performance is about to begin, Falco leads Reiner down the hidden corridors and tunneled basements, and Reiner just sees Eren.
And acknowledges him.
Yeah,
he knows what's up.
I was like, oh yeah, the look in his eyes. He's probably gonna see Eren. Yeah, he did. Yeah. He's like, and now he's fucked.
Okay, let's start by reanalyzing a lot of that, everything else, because oh my god, there's so much to dig into here. I have a theory. It's a crackpot theory, but it's a theory.
A crackpot theory.
Because Eren is talking about his family, let's just assume that he's not entirely lying, which is totally a possibility and is more likely the case, that he's just making shit up so that he can get Falco to pass these messages on and be his little illegal messenger boy.
Yeah.
So Falco unknowingly aiding a coup.
It's funny. It's ironic. He's named Falco and he's a messenger bird.
I don't think that's irony. I think that was very intentional.
You're right.
But let's say for a moment that everything that Eren is saying, it has some grain of truth. That he can't go back to his family because they would be upset with him, etc., etc. What if Eren went rogue?
Definitely a possibility, because we've noticed this too, that Eren's he's different now. Time has definitely changed him a lot. It's been 4 years. Of course he's going to mature. But in the last season, the last thing that he said as he wistfully looked upon the ocean that used to symbolize a moment of freedom, looked blankly at the other side, pointed across and said, if we just kill everyone over there, will we finally be free? That could, at first that could have meant like a sad, like, oh man, like we got to do this shit all over again. But yeah, to your point, could this have been a signifier that he now has a newfound determination to do something, to, I don't know.
And my hope is that I will say, my hope is that Eren has been undercover and realizes that all these people are indeed people. And has a shred of humanity in him. Because if we are going based off of his final moments in season 3, looking out there's a strong possibility that Eren is actually going to be a full-blown antagonist for all these characters, and we're not going to really empathize. We're going to have a hard time empathizing with his actions towards the general public here.
But here's the thing: it depends on what happens in the next episode, and depends on how they frame it. Because I don't know, imagine, because Eren's whole perspective coming from, like, think about the life inside the walls. It was already bad enough for him being caged up and not having the sense of freedom that he truly wanted. And then, for reasons that he never understood until much later in his life, his mother just got eaten in front of him. And it was Reiner's fault.
Yeah. No, I think that a lot of it's justified. I think that again, this show is all about nuance, and I mean, that's the understatement of the century, that this show's about nuance. But I'm interested and I'm concerned. Again, as you said, we're gonna have to wait till later. I just think that there's knowing Eren and how he's behaved in the past, there is a possibility that suddenly he became well-trained and became super good at espionage and has been a spy and is, like, super good at all that shit. Mm-hmm. But more than likely, with the really brash Eren that we know, he's probably gone rogue at some point, which is a little disconcerting.
Right.
Because if whatever's about to happen in this next episode is just him by himself, then yikes. But on the off chance that this is some masterfully done,
coordinated
plan
thing
by Levi or Armin or someone else that is just well above their above everyone, then
he sent the letter. So what's in the letter? And he said it was to his family. So if the implication from before is true, that he is talking about everybody on Paradise, then it might be truthful in that too, that this is like the we ride at dawn letter. Like, come, like, like this is what's going to happen, the game plan.
Strong possibility, actually.
So it's honestly 50-50 if Eren has gone rogue or if this is all just like BS and he's just super coordinated and is like a master thing. But regardless of what's going to happen, I think you're right. The reason why they're hyping up Gabby, Falco, and Udo, and Sophia, and everybody, and making them so sympathetic is so that we feel bad when Eren just wrecks shop. Which, by the trailer, we saw him in a city at one point.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's probably...
To be very specific, we saw Eren's Titan in a city.
Oh, yeah. We saw Eren's Titan form in a city. Yeah. And I don't know about... I mean, unless Paradise Island became New York City, like in the 1900s, in 4 years, it's gonna happen.
We're in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're about to see this go down. Abraham, are you excited for next episode?
Honestly, here's the thing. No, because I feel like I was telling you, this whole episode, I was like actively like kind of shaking just because it's very obvious that they're setting up something. Like the axe is gonna drop, and everybody's having a great time. We love all these characters. I love Gabby. I love Falco. Reiner is probably one of my favorite characters in the show now. And now that Eren's here, like, I get why he's angry and I get why he wants to do everything that he would want to do if he is about to do what he what we think he's going to do.
He's gonna do what we think he's gonna do. What are you talking about?
But it doesn't feel good to watch. It'll definitely be a good episode and a fantastic piece of writing, but to say that I'm excited might not be the right words. And speaking of next episode, we gotta talk about the preview. So, spoiler alert for the preview, because the episode title in and of itself is a spoiler. So if you don't want to know the episode title or anything, just leave. So in the next episode, we're gonna get two things: Willy Tybur's speech and a conversation between Reiner and Eren. At the least, those are the two things we're getting. As the crowd is absorbed by Willy's speech, Eren claims, "I'm just like you, Reiner." And the title of the episode is Declaration of War, which is basically like saying like World War II Electric Boogaloo. Like, you may as well just put it out in the open that it's gonna be bad.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! We don't call World War II that, Abraham.
I mean, it's gonna be awful. I don't wanna know what. What are your expectations for the next episode, Ben?
Well, I'm excited for Tybur's play and the wonderful local theater production that we are going to have. I guess it's actually closer to international because he's not local. But I'm interested to see those revelations. I'm interested to see exactly what his plan is, because we're going to get that spelled out. The question is, are we going to get the full production, or is it going to be interrupted by a Titan blasting out of the basement, and then Eren and Reiner going full fisticuffs in the middle of the city?
Yeah, that's another thing. If they're both in this basement, which, by the way, I didn't say this earlier and I should have, totally a callback to season 1. Annie going down the stairs, like being led into a trap. Eren basically pulled the reverse Uno card on Reiner, so that was just a great callback. But yeah, the Paradise coming in, I mean, again, 50-50. Either Eren does this solo, and it's Eren versus potentially the Warhammer Titan, the Beast Titan, the cart, like it's 1v5, or it's Eren and then Paradise comes because of the letter. Either way, the set piece is it's going to be crazy.
I'm excited to see some Titan punching. That's really where I'm at right now. I just want to see some Titans punch each other. I want my good old flesh suit, mecha anime, Gundam style, just punching each other.
I can't wait to see
old fleshy giants.
I cannot wait to see how Mappa does 3D maneuver gear if they do that in this episode, because you know they have yet to show their stuff when it comes to like those crazy shots. I mean, we've seen good stuff by the previous studio when Levi faced the Beast Titan. Hopefully they can deliver on the same thing. Regardless, it's probably going to be a great episode, a fantastic season, banger after banger, and they're not going to stop. It's going to keep getting better, and I'm super proud of Mappa, and Isayama is a genius for creating this amazing story that we can just talk about for this long. If you liked this show, thank you so much for sticking around to the end. This has been 2FAST2MOVIE. I'm Abraham. This is Ben. You can find us on Spotify. You can find another podcast we do, Return of the Movie. You just look up Return of the Movie on Spotify, Amazon Music, and you'll find us there. You can also subscribe, hit the bell for notifications to our YouTube channel. You'll get notifications every time we post a new video. We do it every week. You'll always have a reason to come back. So, without further ado, it's 2FAST2MOVIE.